Little Nightmares is well known for bringing our childhood fears to life, usually by way of subjecting us to the unsettling antics of the uncanny horrors that we, the fans, have come to know as the Residents. Each of them notable in their own right, with iconic designs, unique mechanics, and a slew of psychological impacts on each of us, depending on what we associate the most with childhood fears, visceral discomfort, and of course, nightmares. As for me, I have never felt so disturbed by a monster in a video game as I was when I first encountered the Teacher. Her mere presence made my skin crawl. The thought of being so small and helpless while paralysed in her cold, unblinking gaze sent my psyche all the way back to kindergarten. That's nursery for you British folks. And I found that I was not alone. In fact, a lot of you agreed that when it comes to nightmares, the Teacher has no equal. That is, until I saw this thing. But I believe I've discovered something really rather odd and interesting about this character, and I'm not sure if it makes it humorously better or much, much worse. This is going to sound crazy, but I need you to roll with it. Little ones. This is the CASTERED theory. But first, the obligatory spoiler warning. This video will contain spoilers for Little Nightmares 1, Little Nightmares 2, and Little Nightmares 3, if we're right about this. And as always, a super massive shout out to legendary Little Nightmares content creator It's Just Jord, and by now, you all know why. Link in the description, don't forget to check it out. Now with that being said, as most of you are likely aware by now, this is the Supervisor. Officially introduced to us on October 30th, 2024 by way of the aptly named You're Being Watched trailer. Speculations about this shrieking spider-like overseer naturally flooded Little Nightmares fan pages across the internet, and quite understandably, a lot of people considered this character to be a strong contender for the scariest resident we have ever seen in the entire series so far. Now, I'm inclined to agree. She's absolutely mortifying. And seeing the savagery and desperation with which she pursues our pint-sized protagonists gives the impression that this is certainly not a supervisor that we're gonna wanna cross. However, I believe that I've made a discovery that might slightly alter your perception of this monstrous manager, and let me be clear, I am 99% certain that I'm right about this. So, back in 2024, I celebrated the release of the new trailer with a live stream, during which I, along with a bunch of you guys, combed through the new trailers to see what we could see. And 6 months ago, just in passing, I made the following statement. And we've got drag marks on the ground which look like they could be from fingertips or wheels of some description, and we have them here also. I think that this door leads to this room. Yes! I speculated that this sinister secretary might move around the factory on wheels. Now admitted, this was very early on, when we barely had anything to go on with regard to the supervisor. As such, this at the time was merely a passing thought that occurred to me when adding up some of the evidence presented to us. That being, the greasy but consistent drag lines on the ground inside and around what we assumed was her office. However, we have since been presented with the spine-tingling, anxiety-inducing trailer reveal of the supervisor, and as such have been offered several more clues that suggest my ridiculously outlandish theory may have traction. Let me explain. First, in the trailer, we are given a brief glance into what appears to be a workshop where several of the supervisor's dresses can be found. In here are a couple of things of note. The first being that there's a sewing machine to the left-hand side of this image, indicating that this is where the dresses are manufactured in their entirety, customized for and quite likely by the supervisor herself. Second is that all the dresses maintain the same bell-like shape, owing to the crinoline cages they appear to be sewn around. Quick caveat, these may not be crinoline. as that material was only popularised in the 1850s in order to replace heavier and more awkward steel frameworks, with the intention of maintaining both the elegance of the dress and the comfort of the wearer, by lightening the load whilst keeping the dress off of one's legs to maximise airflow and manoeuvrability whilst wearing the gown. But my point is, she consistently chooses to include an apparently strong, sturdy framework to accommodate a long and modest dress. Why? Does the supervisor, a creature who appears to take her presentation quite seriously, have unsightly hairy legs? I mean, maybe? No judgment, but I think it's more likely that she's using this robust structure along with its wide base of support to provide both static stability and dynamic balance when in motion, because I think she attached wheels to the bottom of it. Wheels which are visible on the neighbouring shelves for less than a second as Lo pans his flashlight briefly around the room. The lower half of her dress would essentially serve as a multi-purpose office chair. Notice how, despite seeing her in the trailer sitting at her observation desk, and there being evidence on the tiles of wheels being dragged across them, there is no chair in this room. Furthermore, when we see her moving in the trailer, at least whenever she's standing upright, notice how she seems to push off a static surface like a wall or a door frame, and the way she smoothly glides along the floor afterwards. Now, whatever her reason for utilising this method of transportation, whether it be for vanity, of which she certainly seems prone, or for convenience, or even if it just projects an image of stature above her workforce, something else must be true. In order to follow our tiny troublemakers into cracks and crevices the way she appears to do in the trailer, she would need to abandon this wheeled apparatus and pursue us in her natural form, which may serve to explain some of the cracking, contorting sounds we hear at this point in the trailer. But it could be anything at this point. So that almost brings us to the end of this theory. But I do have one more thing that I would like you guys to consider, and stick with me, because this might make you think, and hearing your thoughts is very important to me. And it's creepy. So, if you think I'm onto something and you've enjoyed any part of this video, please feel free to let me know using the thumb buttons down below, preferably the upward facing one. Also, subscribe and hit the little notification bell, as I have a lot more theories just like this one, along with tons of other Little Nightmares related content that I think you're going to enjoy coming up pretty soon, which I'd love you to be a part of. Now, think about this. Why does she wear a dress? As I mentioned earlier, it may be to project an image of stature, or it may be for convenience, but I think it's also for vanity, and this is why. She tends to hold herself upright, donning comparatively elegant, customised dresses, replacing them after they're damaged, and she wears her hair in a classic beehive style. She even looks to be wearing lipstick and colour-coordinated jewellery. For one thing, I believe that she doesn't want to be seen crawling around on the ground, getting her own hands dirty. She has underlings for that. But moreover, I think that her image is decidedly and deliberately insectoid. Remember, the nowhere takes our childhood fears and brings them to life in creative and disturbing ways. So, what's she based on? Could it be bees? She's the queen and they're the workers, serving no purpose other than to produce sugary sweet honey for their hive. Or perhaps ants, with a similar function. Come to think of it, she reminds me a lot of Ridley Scott's Alien Queen, which was reported to operate in a similar manner, even discarding its dress in order to pursue the protagonist into compact crevices. Or, and perhaps most disturbing of all, could she be based on a spider? Arguably the most common fear amongst a lot of people, particularly little girls like Alone. But if that was the case, shouldn't she have 8 limbs? Exactly. And that's what's so disturbing. What if she wears the dress because she does have 8 limbs? The 6 arms we see, but then also 2 short, inelegant and potentially even vestigial legs, which give her a comical and ridiculous appearance. much like our old friend Roger, the janitor. Just some food for thought and a lot of things to consider with this one. But again, I want to know what you think. So please let me know in the comments section below, as I do read all of them. And if there's anything I might have missed in this theory, point that out too. I'm always open to your critique. Thank you all so much for watching, and I invite you to draw your own conclusions. Share your thoughts, theories and speculations. But until next time, little ones, that's game over. Bye.